Hey guys, Alchemado. Welcome to another video. We have a returning guest, Mr. S.
What's up?
So today we're going to be talking about the winter season and the preview for it. The fall season ended this week. And if you don't know, Japan is on holiday for the New Year's. So the new winter season will be starting probably the second week of January.
Yeah, it's probably going to start in about 2 weeks, so you have this dead zone before anything starts up. So if there are any shows that you want to watch from previous quarters or previous things that we might have talked about on this show, then yeah, now is a good time to do it. But when you're done with that, then you can take a look at some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, and yeah, maybe hopefully there'll be something here that'll interest you.
Yep, just check out our previous view that we just did. I'll leave the links up there and below. But today, let's start with some of the ones that are coming back for a second season. First one is Gate. It started in the summer season, is that right?
Yeah, Gate started in the summer season. Now, here's the thing that there are there are two titles this quarter that do have Gate in this. We're talking about the one with the self-defense force. So this one's continuing for the summer, and they're going to be going into a new story arc where they're hunting the flame dragon that they fought for the first one.
Right, this is the dimensional gate that opens up in Ginza, and it basically opens a portal to a new world. There's a fantasy world full of magic, monsters, elves, demons, things like that. This is a really good series, so if you have time, please check it out for the winter. One I'm watching for the second season is the DURARARA. It's a pretty long series. I think this is probably the 40th episode or so. It has its ups and downs. The first season for sure was the best. But I just want to see how it finishes out. So DURARARA ×2 is also for this winter season.
Alright, and the show that I'm going to be continuing on from, I think this one came out in summer as well, is AKAGAMI no SHIRAYUKI HIME. That's basically Snow White with red hair is I think how they translate it. But the story's pretty solid, the characters are pretty good, and yeah, you can take a look at our review from from September, I think, is when we covered it here. And you can take a look at the various news sources for that one, because yeah, it's pretty kind of what was it, like a fantasy story or something like that, you know, medieval sorts of thing. But yeah, the main characters are resourceful, and you know, there's good interaction between everybody there.
Right, I watched a few episodes, but I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. I may go back to it during this dead zone. But yeah, let's get to the new stuff that are coming out for the winter season. The first one we're going to talk about is HIME to Gonzo no GRIMGAR. It's another kind of trapped in a game genre. Talks about the philosophy of why are we here and why are we doing the things that we do. Main character is a guy named Haruhiro. He was surrounded by darkness, and when he wakes up, he's kind of in this fantasy world. And it looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, this one, coincidentally enough, this one's done by A1 Pictures, who also did SAO. So, you know, most of these trapped in a game shows I've kind of taken a look at. Well, SAO is kind of the baseline of how I've been evaluating things.
Sword art line.
Sword art. And so, when looking at Lock Horizon, I was expecting something else, and was actually pleasantly surprised by that one. Overlord's another trapped in a game genre thing, and I wasn't expecting much out of that, and that one turned out to be pretty good. So I'm going to give this one a shot, and hopefully it'll probably exceed my expectations, but we'll see how it turns out. So yeah, it's kind of weird that they keep on going with this entire gold vein of trapped in a game sort of genres, but I guess when something's popular, they'll just keep on going with it.
Right. Okay. The next one is called BOKU DAKE ga INAI MACHI. This looks like more of an adult theme kind of series. Main character named Satoru. He's a struggling manga artist. He's kind of struggling because he fears failure and trying to do his a good manga. The interesting thing about him is he has a supernatural power to basically time travel and to prevent accidents or catastrophes from happening. He will be basically in a time loop until that catastrophe or accident is prevented. There's a big incident where he tries to prevent an accident, but he gets blamed for it. And in order to get back, he somehow finds himself as a middle school kid. And one of his classmates goes missing, and he needs to find out what happens to her. So this is kind of I don't know about it's a murder mystery, but it's an accident or kidnapping mystery, and it looks pretty good. This is also done by A1 Pictures, so we should expect good things about it.
Yeah, this particular story is done by DAKE. He also did the manga Cradle of Monsters. That one was basically a psychological sort of disaster situation. And so I was reading that one before he finished, and I really liked that one. So I'm currently reading the comic book of this particular one, and it's pretty good.
Okay. Okay, so the next anime that we're looking into is DAGASHI KASHI. The main character is Shikara. His father owns like a rural area, old style sweet shop or candy shop, and he wants his son to take over the business. However, he does not want to get into the business, and he actually wants to be a manga artist. And one day, a cute, weird girl comes in and wants to take over the business. So this is basically over-the-top type of comedy series. It's done by Feel, and it looks like it's going to be pretty funny. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm getting a defrag sort of vibe out of this particular one. I'm thinking that the comedy is going to be a bit crazy at times, and that there's going to probably be a lot of misunderstanding. Yeah, Studio Feel, they're relatively new. Maybe from last year, maybe 2 years ago. At least that's, for them to be doing primary animation work. If they were around before, maybe they were doing background stuff or secondary studio sort of cleanup duty.
Okay. The next one on the list is AJIN. It's done by Polygon Studios. This is the same director for Knights of Sidonia. It's a full CG animation, and basically it's about a group of people called AJIN. They're immortal. They cannot die. One of the features is if they get injured or damaged, there's a kind of like a black ash that regenerates them. They're very rare, but scientists in the government want to gather these people maybe for scientific research or maybe just to imprison them because they're dangerous. There's a boy who discovers that he is an AJIN, and he's just running away from these people who want to capture him. Looks pretty gritty, looks pretty interesting. It's going to be a pretty fun series, I think.
Because Polygon Pictures is doing this particular one, familiar with their work on Knights of Sidonia, so this has got my attention. It being a full CG show, seeing how they've improved over the years on this particular technology, it's got me interested in watching it. So the story looks a little bit darker than our the usual fare of things. So hopefully it'll turn out to be a pretty good story, and we'll see how it turns out.
All right, cool. The next one is MUSAIGEN No Phantom World. It's kind of a fantasy story. It's in the near future where monsters and spirits are in full sight. A boy leads a group of people to go out to the world and discover it and find out, the secrets of the world. It's done by Kyoto Studios.
Kyoto Animation Studio, they do a really good job with the works that they are assigned to. The animation quality is usually pretty good. The way that they pick their colors is pretty bright and kind of easy to watch. So based upon the quality that they consistently put out, that's kind of why I'm watching this particular one.
Okay. The next one is No Kanata no 4 Rhythm. It's done by the studio Gonzo. It's about a world where flying is as easy as riding a bicycle. There's a main character. He's a potentially great flyer, but he gets overwhelmingly defeated, and he has no more interest in flying until he meets an exchange student who comes in, and as he teaches her, he gets more interested in flying again. Doesn't seem like much of my type of anime that I want to watch, but what did you think about this one?
Well, because it's Gonzo and they haven't really put out anything major recently, they've done a couple shows between the last few years, and some were good, some were not so great. So I'm hoping that maybe this one will be at least well animated. The story sounds a little bit generic, but it is based upon a visual novel, so I'd like to see how it turns out. The character designs are pretty nice, so we'll see if that matches up to the story quality.
Okay, great. Next one is Dimension W. It's done by the studio 3 Hertz, or HZ. This kind of reminds me of an old 90s anime feel, like Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, that type. It's basically a world where there are coils, and the coils are connected to an unlimited source in an alternate dimension called the W dimension. It's in between the X, Y, and Z, so basically it's the 4th dimension. And there are illegal traders that bring in coils to harness this energy, and the main character is basically a repo man trying to get these things back. Looks more like a gritty type of bounty hunter type of series, and looks pretty good.
One of the staff members who was involved with Darker Than Black had a hand in this one, so seeing how the contents of that particular one went, and now that they're involved with this one, it piqued my attention. Character designs look pretty good, and story, well, it's about a kind of badass bounty hunter guy who likes classic cars, so we'll see how it turns out. I'm thinking this one's got a lot of potential to it.
Okay. The next one I'm not too familiar with, but I'll let Mr. S take care of this one.
As you guys might pick up on, is that anytime PA Works puts out a new show, I've got a tendency to give it a shot. The full title is HARUTA to CHIKA o Seishin Suru. So this is it's a little confusing from the synopsis that we know about it so far. Is that there's 2 main characters, HARUTA and CHIKA, and they're in a wind instrument club that's kind of dying because they're the only 2 members left. So they do concentrate on getting new members to kind of revive it, but they also, in the synopsis that's out there, says that it's kind of a crime-fighting mystery sort of thing to it. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, but I'll give it a shot, and see how this particular series turns out.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was like a music genre type of series, but I guess from the synopsis it doesn't sound like it. From the preview it doesn't sound like it either. But yeah, as Mr. S said, it's a PA Works. They did what was the other one series that they did?
They did Shirobako.
Okay, so the next one is Schwartz American. It's done by Liden Films. I'm not too sure about the pronunciation. My German's pretty rusty, but it's a spin-off of the Muv Love alternate series. It's basically a war mecha type of genre. If you like Muv Love, you should probably enjoy this one. This one takes place earlier in the series, in 1983, where West and East Germany still exist. And there's a squadron called the 666 Squadron. And it's based on them. And sounds like it's a gritty war type of series, and should be pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, because this one takes place about 20 years earlier than Total Eclipse, you're not really going to need to know too much about how things work. I think they're probably going to explain it basically right now is that humanity is in a full-on war with some aliens called the Beta. So they invaded the moon first, and then used that as a jumping point to get onto Earth. And it's kind of like hordes of monsters. I don't know, kind of like Starship Troopers or something like that. And so what they're doing is fighting these aliens. But as we know, in most of situations like these, the most dangerous thing to fight are other humans.
Okay, the last one that we're going to talk about is BUBUKI BURANKI. It's done by Sanzigen. It's a full CG animation, and the story is about a boy named Azuma. He comes back to Japan after 10 years. He gets captured by some thugs, and his childhood friend saves him. He finds out that his friend carries a BUBUKI, which is a powerful weapon with a mind of its own. Azuma himself is a BUBUKI wielder, and they go on an adventure with other companions to find this powerful weapon called BUBUKI BURANKI. Looks like an action fantasy kind of anime, and should be pretty interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, the studio Sanzigen, they've been doing CG since I think maybe the mid-90s, when they did work as early on animes such as Initial D. So they've been in this game for quite some time. The last thing that they probably did was the Arpeggio movie, so you kind of see how much they jumped from there to here. Polygon Pictures, they're running AJIN, which is a full CG thing. BUBUKI BURANKI out of Sanzigen, they're doing their full animation deal. That did not look CG in the previews unless you looked really hard on it.
Yeah, the preview really shows that you can't tell anymore.
Yeah, also the story, it's original. It's not based on a light novel, a manga, or anything else that is previously known. The writer is Jiro Ishii, so he's done work on 999, the video game, which we're both fans of.
Yep.
We'll like that. He's also currently working on the Kickstarter anime Under the Dog, which is currently in production. I think we'll probably see that next year sometime. And also the character designer is Kozaki Yusuke, who also worked on Fire Emblem.
Yes.
So we both happen to like what's called the games that these two guys worked on. So that's what kind of caught our attention on this one.
Yeah, I mean, usually original stories could be hit and miss, but those two, if those two are involved, should be pretty good. Okay, well, that is our preview for the winter season. And I'd like to thank my special guest, Mr. S.
No problem.
He's going to continue on the recap of the winter season and the preview for the spring season. Spring season usually is one of the best of the year. And I really hope that you like this video. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone.
See ya. Story of a Failed Knight. This is also done by Silver Link. And I think both of us can agree that this is the better of all